Okay, you gonna let me do this reading? I'm happy to see you too. I'm happy to see you too, not in the mouth. I need to do this reading. We should sage the place, shouldn't we? Alright, wait. So I'm just gonna sage a little bit. I got some what? You want me to put it out? Alright, so we're about to get into the reading. So, what I have learned is that individuals will attach themselves to animals. So I have to go in. I'm going to create animal protection tools. So when you light the sage and they start sneezing, they sneezing off that attachment. Okay. So we're about to get into this reading. She thought she was going to leave that man and somebody else was going to take care of her ass. She thought she was going to be able to depend on that magic. No, sir. She thought that shit was working. She's starting to realize that it ain't working. A lot of shit backfiring on her ass. Alright, so hold on. Okay. What are the messages? What's up? I'm tired, man. What's up? I don't care about making a mess. I'm gonna give it my best, gonna give it my best. I don't really care if I give it to God, He'll handle the rest. I don't really care about the stress. I don't really care about making a mess. What are the messages? For whomever it may concern, I feel a little indifferent. Somebody has been holding on to me. So the thing is that I can feel it in my back. Okay? So, they don't want to show me that they're holding on to me, but I can feel them holding on to me. So it's a little clingy. But I mean, I'm a Cancer. I understand. What is this? So we have Judgment, and we have Nine of Swords in reverse. So I feel like, to me, it feels like somebody is prioritizing their mental health, or it's kind of giving mirror effect, you know, because the Nine of Swords represents the runner. So with the Judgment card here, it's kind of like God is saying, take a second look at this situation. Okay? So now somebody who was running away is now coming back. Okay? So for whoever this is on the outside of you, this person is kind of like they're under judgment. And you know, I think that they're noticing and paying attention to the sacrednicities of things. Okay? So it's like they're understanding, it's like they're coming to an understanding. You know, I feel like it has something to do with love. I feel like somebody is understanding that, you know, this person is coming to the understanding that they are loved no matter what. You know, sometimes we feel the pressure to have to keep up with that because we have other things and other issues going on with us. Sometimes it scares us because we've never experienced anything like that, and sometimes it can feel too good to be true. A lot of the times that's why people run, you know. But you got to think about it like this. You know, if somebody really truly loves you and you run away from them out of your fear, well, what do you think that you're doing to that other person? You're hurting that other person because that other person wants to love you. They want to love on you, and you're running. And you're not running for a legitimate reason. You're running away, you know, because you're afraid. Okay? So, in the position of your crown, you have the Wheel of Fortune. So, things are about to take an unexpected turn. So there is a portal that is opening up. Okay? So, you can expect change. There's going to be a shift in the way in which that you think. It has a lot to do with your subconscious mind. So there's some type of awareness that you are coming into, you know, about somebody, about yourself, you know. But at the same time, when the portals open, especially when it comes to the Wheel of Fortune, because the Wheel of Fortune has a lot to do with your visions, dreams, new opportunities, new doorways. Okay? It has, did I say something about vision? But you know, maybe there's a new vision, you know. So a lot of the times too, sometimes when opposition tries to get on your path, you know, a lot of the times in my experience, you know, opposition, they like to do things behind my back, you know, and it's kind of like they're hoping that they can bother me behind my back. If you think about it, you know, it's just like that makes no sense. But so when they can't get a response, they can't get a reaction out of me, you know, because people will try to attack you privately because they want a public reaction out of you. You know what I'm saying? So when they can't get this from you, you know, they keep trying and trying and trying and trying, so the shit doesn't work. So what they try to do is that they try to jump on your path. By this time, they have lost, they have, you know, their own dreams, goals, and ambitions have already died off. You know, so they have nothing to fall back on once they go through the crash out. You know, and the thing is that, you know, opposition goes through this in cycles. It's like you're constantly crashing out, it's not working for you. But at this point in time, if they don't have anything to fall back on, it's kind of like you are their mission now. So it's kind of like by any means necessary. They've lost their focus. They've lost all the things that are most important to them. They've lost it. So, it's like they jump on your path because now it's like they want to be able to catch up with you, because with all the crashing out that they do, they get so far behind because the whole time you have stayed focused, on the goal, on the mission, on yourself, whatever. So, what ends up happening is that God will create this will create this path, right? This path will just come out of the blue, which is going to represent the opportunity. So what's going to happen is God's going to say, go down that path. Okay? So when you go down that path is going to disappear. So when you are off the path to your destiny, and you're out wandering, exploring this new path, God is cleaning the opposition off of your path, not past. But there may be something here about the past. We'll get into it later, but I said past for a reason, but I meant path. Okay? So, once God clears your path, then you are redirected back on to your path. And the thing is that where you left your path, it's kind of like you've jumped. You jumped ahead. You see what I'm saying? God may have curved that path, but about time you get back on your original path, it's like you have, jumped ahead even further. Okay, so this is when you start being grateful for the opposition, because opposition, this is when they become your footstool. Whatever they do, it starts working for you instead of against you. Okay, and once again, when they get wiped off your path, they back to ground zero. And by this time, they're so distraught. Their life is falling apart. They've made such a mess within their own life. They've been so worried about you, and shit has been happening. Haven't been paying attention to the children. Fucking bills is getting backed up and all that type of shit. And, all the things that are most important, it's kind of like it all falls apart. So now this person has to, or these people have to focus on putting their life back together. Okay, now some people are very stubborn, but I'm trying to tell you, when they get cleared off of that pathway, then it's too much. I'm talking about car accidents, things going on with cars, with homes, with children, with relationships, with family, friends. It's a whole bunch of drama, combativeness. By this time, you see, this person was trying to run away from all of those things. Okay, they was trying to run away from facing their responsibilities. They were trying to run away from they was just trying to run away from everything within their life. They wanted to make you the target, the center, the star of their life. So their focus has been all about you. You know what I'm saying? So to the point to where they want to do what you do. And your destiny is your destiny. As if you are on your destiny and you are moving forward with it, within that, there, it's yours. What's for you is for you. It's not for anybody else. Now I'm gonna tell you right here, because we got the hermit that's gonna represent the deities. When it comes to the Wheel of Fortune, you have deities, extraterrestrials, spirit guides, angels. Everybody connects to you. So what's happening is that individuals are being swapped out. Okay? So um when the portal opens, something is going through, and something is going in, and something is coming out. Okay, so you're probably going to notice a shift in your pattern, your way of thinking. Hermit is going to represent an epiphany. So I feel like you've had some type of epiphany. But at the same time, with it in reverse, and then considering this person on the outside of you is in reverse, this is going to represent an avoidance. Okay? Somebody can just be hiding because they're trying to avoid. So we have the Eight of Swords. This is free your mind. Seven of Swords in reverse. Somebody was trying to lie on you. Okay, with the Empress here, I feel like that's a person. That's not an experience. Then you have the Chariot in reverse. That is the car accident. Okay. Then you have the Seven of Wands. So whoever this person is, so is this reading for a man? Is it for a woman? It's for a man and a woman. But you know what I'm talking about. They trying to play with me. They told me I need to stop taking shit so serious. Well, I'm not in a fucking playing mood. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. Just tell me, cause I'm tired. I just got off from a long day. Please, we can play later. This reading is not for a human, so it's going to represent somebody who is on a higher level. Okay, a higher level of consciousness. Now the thing is that the individual on the outside, they have planted some very detrimental spiritual seeds for their future. They have manifested some type of failure within their spiritual growth. It has a lot to do with emotions, confidence, and willpower, and their decision making. So this person may have issues with their mother too. Okay, so this is going to represent, it could be a grandmother, it could be a mother. Okay, but the thing is, well, I'm going to say mother. I'm not going to say grandmother. If the moon card was here, then I would say grandmother. But it's more so of mother. So, this person has manifested, like I said, Seven of Wands in reverse, they're not going to be able to stand up for themselves. They're not going to be able to lie. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty much over for this person. It's kind of like they're not going to be able to function in the world. The mother is root. Okay? So with the mother being root, it's kind of like they're not going to be rooted. To sum it all up, they're not going to be able to face the world. It's like they're gonna be afraid to live their life. They're gonna be afraid to grow up. They're gonna be afraid to make certain decisions within their life. This is like living a very fearful life. They're gonna be afraid of everything. They're not gonna have any confidence within, like moving forward. Emotionally, they're not gonna grow. So this person, they're stuck, and they have manifested even more stuckness within their life for their future. Okay, so the thing is that they continue to keep up with that same bad behavior. Well, then it is what it is. I feel like it's a mother. I feel like it's an older woman. She is a mother, and I feel like she has issues with her mother. You see, childhood issues and wounds don't go away, because you'll find yourself being 50, 60 something years old, and you still have issues with your mother after you done had your children. Sometimes you done raised your children, and depending on how involved you are within your children's life and what's going on with them, it constantly takes you back to you comparing yourself to your mother when you were growing up. Okay, so some situations going on here. So that leaves us with the Wheel of Fortune card and then the Eight of Swords. This is spiritual and mental. So this is about freeing your mind. You know, seeing, coming outside of your box with your discriminations, your bias. Somebody may have said something about you, people may have said things about you, and it's like you're letting that, or you were letting that affect you. And it's just like there's a bigger picture to your story, to your life, to your situation than what you think and what you know. As a chosen one, my thing is, I keep telling people opposition is not designed to win. It's only designed to look like they're winning. For one, you're going to have to take some L's. You're going to have to take some hits. But the thing is that you're going to come to realize later on that it's not a hit and it's not a loss. You know, whatever happens during a specific time, whatever goes down at a specific time was not the time. Okay, so when it comes to you, because it's giving me like blazing your trail. You're blazing through your trail. You have a lot of power, and you have to understand the effect in which that you have on other people. You know what I mean? When you're a very powerful person, you have a tendency to trigger people. And the thing is, it's kind of like a mirror, to where they're trying to put their issues onto you. It's kind of like you make them realize, you make them see themselves. So whatever you do, whatever you create, it's kind of like it's a mirror. Motherfuckers don't like it. You know what I'm saying? So it's very disturbing. It's very disturbing because people, they want to be in denial about who they are. And when it comes to you, they just cannot do that. So, my thing is that you're going to see, because the Wheel of Fortune also represents miracles, right? So it's kind of like where they thought that they had you, they're going to realize that they never had you. So, and see, this is the mystery of life, and this is how God works. Sometimes you don't need to know everything and how everything is going to play out. You know what I'm saying? Because, okay, so I'm gonna compare it. I'm gonna compare it to so what show is that? It was one of the power shows, one of the one with the youth, with the teenagers, well, the young people will say. So the thing is that in one of those episodes, they had sent, they knew, it's like they knew what the police were going to do, and they knew who the police were targeting. So the thing is that they had the girl to be the deliverer. Okay? So the thing is that she didn't know anything that was going on. So that's going to represent you, right? You don't know anything that's going on, but you are delivering something, right? So then what ends up happening is that she get caught by the police. But whatever it is in which that she was delivering, it's not what the police thought it was. But she thought she was delivering some drugs. So when she got caught, she thought it was over, but she realized that it won't drugs. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes, that's how the universe works. That's how God works. You're not meant to know everything and why certain shit is happening the way in which that is happening. You have to trust. Okay? So maybe you're working on trusting more of the process, trusting more of your life, trusting more of your spirit guides, trusting more of who you are. Because you are a very powerful person. But that don't mean you know everything. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes God will blind you and have you do something, and then you think that you're doing it and it's going to be something big, but then it's kind of like you find out that there's like a glitch, or there's some type of a setback that's purposeful. Sometimes God likes to play with the opposition. God knows who's watching you, and God knows their plans. You don't. You see what I'm saying? So this is how God be fucking with people, because they'll make somebody think that they got it, right? They'll God. I seen this shit so many times. I've been through this shit myself, you know. So God will make them think that they got away with some shit. Next thing you know, they didn't get away with that shit, and whatever it is in which that you were doing, you were delivering, gets put back on track. Okay? So it's a lot of shit going on here. It's a lot of shit going on here. You got all type of situations. You're dealing with people who are always trying to take their issues out on you. So my thing is that you represent a lot of mother energy. Okay? Now the thing is that rather you're a man or rather you're a woman, so my thing is that Cancer rules the mother. Okay? So, with me dating some Cancer men in the past, well, when I was younger, I wasn't really feeling it. But, cuz, man, they be trying to mother the fuck out of my ass. I'm just like, bro, I'm a grown ass woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need you fucking, like, mothering my ass. It's too, it was too much of seeing myself in the mirror. It was just too intense. It's just like, I'm supposed to be mothering you. You don't mother me, But after some time, as I got older, and then I began to experience more mature Cancer men, I grew an appreciation, for the nurturing part of them. You know what I'm saying? You see, through growth, we find understanding. So to where I'm all in my ego and I'm just like, ugh, and I'm being combative, and I'm trying to fight for pretty much emotional control. When it comes to water signs, we always want emotional control. So that's pretty much what we mostly want in a relationship. So we're sitting here and we're doing this. We're like bumping heads, because it's just like, no, I want the control, and it's just like, no, I want the control, and it's like, I want the control. You see how the claws be? You know how the cancers be pinching, the crabs be pinching the fuck out of your ass. Now the thing is that if you study a crab, sometimes when a crab pinch you, they'll latch on so hard to you that you start bleeding. They will pierce through your skin. Okay, so that's going to represent the toxicity, of the crab. Okay, so you hold on so tight that you're hurting that person. you know so you just gotta ease up the claws. So I don't know why I said that. There's just so much going on in this fucking reading. And the thing is that it has nothing to do with you. I think that you may be sitting back and you may be kind of confused as to what is going on. Well, I'm trying to tell you. You know what I'm saying? Everything is not what it seems. So at this point in time, it's kind of like you do yourself a favor and it's like free yourself. Free yourself and free your mind. You know what I'm saying? Because some people said things to you. Somebody said something to you. And, it's usually something negative. And so it's kind of like it's affecting the way in which that, you're thinking. Because it's kind of like you feel like you can't get it out of your mind. You think that you can't. But you can. So how can you get out of your head? You need some type of emotional distraction. Okay, now the thing is that if you haven't been getting the emotional distraction, it is because somebody here is not emotionally available. Okay, this person is being dissipated. Like they're not emotionally growing. Okay, I think it has something to do, it's mother issues. This person, I feel like this person is older too. I feel like this is an older person. That's why I be saying you be 50, 60 something years old, and you sitting up there and you reverting back to the past of your childhood and the relationship, with your mom. you know So it's kind of like the mom and the grandma are feeling some type of way. It's kind of like they're at war, they're at odds. you know so there's no communication here. But the way in which, what the communication that has been taking place is that somebody has been lying. Somebody has been lying. They have a lot of resentment, they have a lot of animosity. These are all the things that they're not saying, that they're not talking about. And they wonder why they feel stuck. They wonder why they're not growing. Because you have not let go. You have not let go of the pain of the past. This is what happened when you be too much in your head. When people live in their head, you can never trust their thoughts. That's why you have to appreciate somebody who is open and honest with you and who will tell you shit. Because a lot of people, they smile in your face, but in their head, they have the most wickedest thoughts. They're planning their next revengeful move, or they're very spiteful. So when we avoid those uncomfortable conversations, this is the type of shit that happen. And what individuals don't understand is that with these characteristics, that is the type of person you are creating within you. You can sit here and you can mask it and you can act a certain way and do the, and say what you want and all this type of stuff. But the truth is that you are bothered. You are bothered. So, I don't know what's going on with this situation here. I think that you had two options though. That's what I really think. And it's kind of like maybe somebody exposed themselves. It's kind of like one person knew that they were an option and the other person didn't know. The person who didn't know that they were an option, you know, this is the person who has the discernment. The person who knew, you see, the one who has the most information is the one you have to watch, because you have to see how they're going to use what they know, in a situation. That's what I'm saying. This is very mysterious. It's all about, this is how you trust the process of your life, by just allowing certain things to be a mystery to you, and eventually it will all make sense. You will put it together, you will be enlightened. So, don't be trying to figure out so much so fast and so quickly. And don't be so quick to judge. Because I'm going to tell you, you know, um, obviously the person who didn't know that they was an option, they triggered the fuck out of this other person. You see, you said too much. You told this other person too much. And then it's kind of like, you don't know what people are doing when you are not around. Because I'm going to tell you, I picked up some love vibes. I feel like this is somebody you used to date, and you know that they still love you and care about you, but you don't have the right discernment about them. You think that they're mature, you think that they have their shit together, but when it comes to you sizing them up with this other person highlights all the things that this other person has been hiding. So, you know, it is what it is. That's why I be telling people, like, motherfuckers be out here trying to fake it till they make it, but when it come to a real one, you gonna always be able to tell the real from the counterfeit. It's like when the clerk take that dollar bill and they mark it off, is it real or is it fake? So it's kind of like you're the person, and you have that magic marker. Okay? So with that magic marker, it's kind of like you can see who is who and what is what. So, I mean, it is what it is. Cause somebody, I don't, I'm not trying to tell nobody how to live their life and how to have their relationships, but you cannot move to the future with holding on to the past. You know what I'm saying? I don't have any exes to where, we're friends. And I'm going to be telling that nigga about a new man that I got in my life. A new man that I want to go after. I'm not going to do that. My son's father is the longest guy that I have known. And, he's not a really good friend, but I mean, we have been friends for a long time. I wouldn't even go to him and conversate to him about a new man in my life. I don't know. That shit weird as hell. It's just, I don't know, it's just weird. And it's weird for situations like this because now you realize that this person has unfinished business with you for real, and they're not who you thought or who you think that they are or they were. So somebody's still in love with you, somebody still got feelings for you. In your mind, in your heart, you may have moved on, but they haven't. And so every chance that they can possibly get to sabotage, if they feel like somebody else is in their way, they're trying to figure out how am I going to get this person out of the picture. You got to protect. You know what I'm saying? You got to protect your investments. You have to protect your people. You have to protect your peace. You have to protect love. That Seven of Swords is going to represent, somebody has a very envious spirit. It's an attachment, but I feel like it has a lot to do with their mother. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like they realize, like, I'm just like my mother. You know what I'm saying? This person may have, that's why I say you got to be careful on the information that you give to somebody else about somebody else, because you may not even have all the information or all the facts. But if this individual knows, then they can start manipulating things and playing around. But it don't matter, because real, like I say, real recognize real. So, you know. And then on top of that, for your person on the outside who didn't know what was going on, it's kind of like now they look at you side-eyed. Now they have all these questions. Now they're suspicious about you. You know what I'm saying? Um, I was about to say something else. Well, I mean, it don't matter. My thing is that when you being real, you can say whatever the fuck you want to say because it's true. Motherfuckers be out here lying. And so then when they get caught in their lie or that mask gets smacked off their face, then they sitting up there, it's just like, damn, who are you really? I trusted you. You said this and you said that. You had me thinking this, you had me thinking that. Well, it's a lesson. You got to know shit for yourself. You can't go off of what nobody else say. Don't trust nobody else's information but your own. Then on top of that, it's kind of like you may have even known that this person still like you or is still into you, but you thought that they were confident. You thought that you know maybe there is an age difference between these two people. You know what I'm saying? You're feeling like, oh, well, this person is older, they're going to be more mature about stuff, they're not going to do this, they're not going to do that, and you come to find out that younger one is a lot more mature than that older one, and that older one got a whole bunch of fucking issues. Age ain't nothing but a number. I ain't talking about when it come to no little ass kids. In my personal experience, it seems like the older individuals are, and they haven't been growing, working on themselves, healing themselves, it seems like the more fucked up that they are. You know, I don't know too much about the men, but I'm definitely going to say, I've noticed it in the women. It's just because a lot of the times, with me being a woman, and then sometimes, being around older women, connecting to older women, and this is probably my fault. I do have a certain expectation, like, This is somebody I can learn from. This is somebody that has experience. This is somebody that, I feel like I need to listen to, or I need to take heed to, or you know what I'm saying? Like, and then come to find out them bitches don't like me. Like, you know, I I told myself, I said I never want to be one of these women. When I get older, I'm intimidated and I'm jealous and I'm envious of younger women. I don't ever want to be that. You know. So once again, like I always tell people, what you ideal for other people is who you are meant to be. So, I may have a problem with having these expectations for older women within my life, thinking that thinking that they're going to be wise, they're going to be loving, they're going to have some wisdom to drop on me, they're going to be sharing stuff with me, like wanting to somewhat take me under their wing or some type of shit, and it's just like, you come to find out them bitches, they jealous, they be hating. I don't ever want to be that way. So, I get a lot of practice with the youth, you know and it is a little challenging with females when it comes to relationships with older females and younger females. But I mean, my thing is, you have to remember who you were, or remember the type of girls that you grew up with. You would see sometimes how the younger girls would get sassy with their teachers, or they would catch attitudes with their female teachers and all that type of stuff. Well, she's a young woman. She's hormonal. She thinks that she knows everything. So it's kind of like, you want to take a different approach to that. You know, like, you have to, it's kind of like, I don't know. To me, it's, I'm just like, I got to be patient. And every time she try to get smart with me, every time she try to go up against me, or what have you, I have to remember she's still learning. She don't really know shit about the world just yet. And you have to be consistent within what you show them, because the young women, they love to test the older women. They love to do that. You know what I'm saying? But you can win their heart over at some point in time. Now, don't get me wrong, because some younger girls, they just, they got their own issues with other women and maybe their mothers, or seeing another woman just as a threat, period. So it's kind of like, well, you got to walk away from her, because she has already made up her mind about you. But if you have to deal with her, you have to be consistent in what you show her. you know it could be hard, it could be real challenging, because I feel like they really be trying to try it. So you have to change your perception about how you see them. you know it's kind of like, remember, she just don't know, and that one day she will find out. So, I mean, I don't know how to explain that shit. But you gotta be real though, cause you have to. In some shape, form, or way, you have to relate to them. You know. So it's just like, well, what's up with you today, Miss Thing? You know what I'm saying? you know. And sometimes it's good to be open and share some of your experiences with them. You know. I don't know, you know. It seems like the older we get, it's like the more we have seen, we have been through within our lives. So, we get to a point to where we think that we've seen it all, we've done it all, we've known it all. There's nothing that we can't learn from anybody else, especially somebody who is younger than us. A lot of my opposition deals with a lot of younger girls. You know what I'm saying? Like women who are in their 20s. You know what I'm saying? Late 20s, mid 20s, and I mean, I just be consistent within who I am. You're lost out here, and I got the goods, but I'm not gonna give you the privilege of these goods, and you don't respect me. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I be ignoring them. I ignore them. If a young woman gravitates to me, then okay, it's open arms. But you know, I ain't got time for that shit. And I know women, they jealous of their daughters, and they try to convince their daughters that everybody is jealous of them, and it's them. It's not everybody else. They're trying to control their daughters, and they're trying to control the way that they think and how they see people, because there's kind of like this guilt that they feel like, they want their daughters to see them in a light to where they're the best, and they have their best interest. The whole time they be jealous as a bitch. It's just another controlling tactic. you know I had this young woman come up to me one time, and she was talking about sex and shit, and I was just like, look, you need to make sure that you wear a condom. You know what I'm saying? You need to make sure that you're wearing a condom. You need to make sure that you protect yourself. Now the thing is that she sat down with me and we had a very open conversation, about her plans, about her feelings. Well, one thing you don't want to do, you don't want them to feel judged. You want to establish a foundation to where even if they fuck up, they know that when they come to you, they're not going to be judged. They're going to be supported even when they fuck up. And it may hurt you, because it's kind of like, I told you don't do that. I told you. Yeah, you told them, but they have a mind of their own. And when they're in that position, I mean, they have to have experiences too. You cannot protect the children from everything as much as you want to. You know, I know. Ooh. Just please stay away from all the bad things in life. Love yourself. Be okay with being different. Be okay with being you. Take care of yourself. Know what it is for somebody to love you. They're gonna love you and appreciate you the way that you love. You have to teach people. Especially when it comes to men, you got to teach a man how to love you. You got to teach him how to respect you. How do you do that? You have to be catalytic. You can't tell him, oh, you're going to respect me. Oh, you're going to appreciate me. If you don't do what I tell you to do, if you don't do this and do that, I'm out of here. You're going to lose the best thing that ever happened to you. Then come to find out, when your ass get out there, you ain't all that like you thought that you was. And then you start reflecting on, damn, he was a good guy. He was a good man. He was a good guy. He was a good man. And see, this is why I be telling people you need space in relationships. Don't forget what somebody means to you, because it's real easy to forget. And some people get arrogant as hell, and they think that they gonna run off and they want to shit on that person, and then they find out that they getting shitted on. You know, it's a cold world out this motherfucker. You know, but it has a lot to do. It's really mental health. You got to be thinking about shit out here. It's hard right now, and he's getting on my nerves right now, right? So start thinking about the good times. Start reflecting back on the things in which that you do like about him, because if you stay focused on the negative shit, it's gonna grow, and that's all that you're gonna see, and you're gonna forget all the wonderful, beautiful things that man actually be doing for you. Same thing go for men, when it comes to a woman. Look, that's why these marriages don't be working out here. I love. It's been my dream to get married, but I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Because when you commit and when you lock in, you're going to be with that person for the rest of your life, and you made vows to work it out. You can't run away. I mean, you can. People get divorced all the time, but I mean, what is the point? What is the point of all that? If that's the case, then don't even marry him. Just be with him because you want to be with him. And obviously, when you don't want to be with him no more, you're going to leave anyway. That ain't where you want to be. That's not really what you want to do. Ain't nobody perfect. I'm trying to tell you, ain't nobody perfect. You gonna have to deal with something. I feel like that's hard for women to accept. But that shit is true. So you can be by yourself and have a good time. For the or I mean, you can get committed. You can commit and take a chance. Mm. Yes, Lord. Because when these men be out here making decisions and they not thinking about you, and they in control, and they not thinking about you and nobody else, you feel neglected. You feel you feel unappreciated. It's just like, you got to know who somebody is first, but you got to accept they ain't gonna be perfect. They ain't gonna be what you think that they should be. The question is it worth it? I used to tell myself, man, if he fucking me right, this shit is worth it. Because I feel like with everybody that I've dealt with, I'd be like, man, if that dick wasn't what it was. Now, of course, my son's father is different because we had a child together. Then on top of that, the child has autism. And that has been a very challenging journey for us, me especially. I've had to sacrifice and change so many things about myself. I had to settle down because I was wild out this motherfucker. And when I first met his dad, I thought he was the best thing since sliced bread. Child, if I if I would have seen all this shit, like, if I could flash into the future, I would have just kept going. I wouldn't have chose nobody else over him. I would have kept going. You know, the red flags be there, but you be thinking, you in love and it's okay. Communication is the key. That's what I think. You know what I'm saying? As long as you can communicate with somebody, it's and when I say communicate, I'm talking about, like, hey, I want to talk to you about something. He's not like, oh, I don't want to hear it today, or oh, la, 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 la. You know what I'm saying? He's just like, okay, what's up? So you're just like, I got this problem. I'm thinking about this. This is on my mind, and this is weighing on my heart. You know what I'm saying? It's a you got to be careful, because sometimes you'll tell them a problem, and they'll bring up a problem that they got with you. Okay, right? That's cool. For one, you knew you had that problem, so why you ain't been said nothing? You gonna wait until I say something to you? Right now, I'm addressing it. We can talk about what you talking about, but first, let's talk about what I'm bringing to you. And you gotta watch people's motives when it comes to that shit too. Cause why you gonna bring up some shit when I bring up some shit? Just because you was feeling some type of way and you wanted to be in your head about it and you ain't want to talk about it. Now, when I have a problem with you, you're trying to make it seem like I can't have a problem with you because you have a problem with me that you're not talking about. So you want to make it seem like I got to shut up about shit. That is somebody who is holding secret animosity towards you. That's why I say you got to be careful. Like, people be living in their head. You think that you're in a relationship with somebody, and you come to find out that they're not who you think that they are. So when you have that conversation, when you open up to your partner and they are sincere and they are caring, well, what can I do? Because sometimes people don't have the answers. So you're the one with the problem. What is the solution? What would you like? What do you want to see happen? What do you want to see change? How can I do that? I say that shit, but that's not really realistic. But like I'm gonna say it again, what you ideal is who you are supposed to be. You know, that's your subconscious talking to you. We're always externalizing things. I want somebody who's like this, who does that. That's who you're supposed to be. That's who you supposed to be. And the thing is that when you grow into that person, that is who you will attract. That is who you will manifest. But anyway, I feel like I ran my mouth long enough. So until the next time, we'll talk again.